Tonight on the Cooligans, we are talking about all the bubbles, all right? The NWSL Challenge Cup bubble. We're talking about the MLS is back bubble. And we're talking
about Christian's behind bubble.
Correct. We're starting with Marisa Pilla, who is the lead sideline reporter for the NWSL Challenge Cup. And what do we got next, Alexis?
Oh, and then after that, we go to the other bubble. We're going to go talk to Dwyer of Orlando City. And let me tell you something. We talk about it all.
Okay. So all this and more today on the
Cooligans! Yeah, baby!
Woo!
Come on.
Yes, look at this. We got some, almost Friday energy. Okay.
Is it? One of these days I'm gonna collapse, and I just want to hear what the beginning of the show sounds like, with Christian both trying to keep it professional, but also wondering if I'm okay.
Hey man, look, if it'll get some clicks, whatever it takes.
It's all about the views at this point. Maybe I should pretend to collapse.
Yeah, you could be like Wendy Williams with when she collapsed. Remember?
I do not remember that.
You got to watch more Wendy Williams. Anyway,
take on TV, folks.
So hey everybody, hello. We are the Cooligans. My name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis Guerreros.
All right, we are your favorite stand-up comedians that host the funniest soccer show on television.
Yeah, you guys remember when stand-up comedy existed? We're not just that, though. We also happen to be the gulliest.
Correctamundo, okay? Yeah. I'm sounding like Sam Jackson in Pulp Fiction for some reason.
Boy, your references are starting to really target down into the early aughts. You know what I mean? Or when did Pulp Fiction come out?
No, was that in the 90s? Who knows? Anyway, we're excited about today's show because...
we're going in two bubbles, dude.
Two bubbles?
We're going to be in two bubbles, my dude.
Double bubble. Is that a gum? I don't know.
Yo, right? It's like, first of all, trademark it right now. What are you doing? Cancel the show. We're billionaires. Hello, Kraft Incorporated.
Yes, we're talking about MLS is back a little bit later with Dwyer of Orlando City, but we have to get started with the first contact team sport to come back in the United States.
Is that the proper terminology for it?
It is
contact team sport.
Yeah, I'm adding terminology to it.
Yeah. You stacking credentials on there?
Because these people gotta know, okay?
Right? It's kind of like when you're making a resume and you're like, I can't just say answered phones, so you got to stretch it out a little bit.
Advanced, highly technical, telephone operative
assisted multiple organizations with communications, and you're like, okay. Damn, you might be overqualified for this Applebee's.
We're excited. The NWSL made its, the return first to American team sports, and we're excited to be joined by our guest, who is right there in the middle of Utah, in the bubble, talking about everything at NWSL Challenge Cup. So please introduce our guest.
She is perpetually 6 feet to the left and about 1.5 feet in front in an odd angle, which we got to ask, the hell's going on out there in Utah? We're so happy. This is the second time that this guest has been on our show, but the first time was all the way back on September 30th, 2016. And boy, have all three of our careers changed. Both of us. Christian's still in the same place.
I mean, my mom's basement.
But the beautiful background. And the food's good. No, but I mean, it's so great to be able to bring this person back on. You know her, you love her. If you used to be a fan of Philadelphia Union, you remember her. And now she is the lead announcer for NWSL / the NWSL Challenge Cup, which is on CBS and CBS All Access. Ladies and gentlemen, unless you're driving, put your hands together for the one, the only, Marisa Pilla.
Hey guys!
Hey, welcome back.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Alexis just said lead announcer, but you're really the sideline reporter, so just want to be accurate about that.
Yeah, I'm stalking the sidelines every game. That's where I live.
I got most of that right. So
there was a lot of adjectives in the build-up too, so I know. Yeah.
Exactly. Marisa, thank you so much for joining us again. Yes, the last time you were on our podcast, which was in 2016. 2016, you were, working with the Philadelphia Union. You've done, so many things since then. But now it's been awesome watching you during the Challenge Cup and being the main reporter. You're interviewing all the players. What's sort of the experience been like so far? I know it's stupid hot, right, in Utah, so it has to be a little bit challenging. And then also talk a little bit about. Let's talk a little bit about the bubble itself and how everything kind of is turning out there in Utah.
Sure. Yeah. I think a lot of us didn't know what to expect because, like, with everything that's going on, no one has any experience with something like this. A lot of national team players I was talking to, they were like, oh, it kind of reminds me of like a national team camp, but like you can also leave during that camp. Like you can go take a hike, you can, go to a restaurant, and here you don't have that freedom. But I think the teams have done a good job at giving their players outlets. Like there's game rooms set up in their hotels. For me, I'm in an apartment right across the street from the stadium. So I've got a very quick commute. I still drive because I'm getting enough steps on the sidelines. I just drive right home. But it's been pretty good.
Your Fitbit's like, are you sure?
Yeah. They're like, I think they were concerned for me. Yeah. Like, first of all, you never move, and now you're walking a lot. Is everything okay?
Siri calls you on the phone, like, you good?
You gotta stop moving.
What was the? We can maybe get into it a little bit more after the break if it's a longer answer. But with the news about the Orlando Pride not being able to join in on the tournament, how was that received amongst like the media and maybe some the rest of the players?
I think most people were just kind of heartbroken for the team because, at least from my point of view, when I was doing all of my prep, Orlando was one of the teams I was most excited to see. They had so much energy heading into not only the draft, like the off season. Their head coach, Mark Skinner, just had so much passion, like putting into what he wanted this team to look like. We talked to him on the phone, and he was just like, this is going to be such a completely different team. And they really brought in so many interesting players. And Emily Sonnet and Ali Riley was with the team, and we got to talk to some of them, and everybody just seemed so excited to be like, wait, like just you wait until you see us. Like we're going to look great. And they were kind of my team to watch. So for me personally, I was just so disappointed for them. I know they were working crazy hard. They said their training sessions were super intense just to get ready. And you want to see them out there. You want to see, you want the whole league to be able to compete, to really see where people are, and to not have them in here. It's been tough, but I've been loving their Twitter account, which is just like going off the rails like every game. And it's just made everything so much more interesting. Yeah.
If people haven't seen, the Orlando Pride Twitter account has just been the biggest fan of the NWSL Challenge Cup. And they just embrace like the situation. And so it's
like they're still involved somehow, which is kind of great.
Yeah. And I love that they took that approach, because very easily you could feel like, oh, we're not in it and we'll just watch from afar. But I love that they kind of went all in and they're just piggybacking on everybody.
All right, we'll be back with more right after this.
Back on the Cooligans Living Room FC with Marisa Pilla, your sideline announcer for the NWSL Challenge Cup, which has been amazing to watch, and for many reasons, right? Christian and I have been doing a lot of these sort of Twitch watch-alongs, and the fans really seem to be involved, and we've been trying to do just a lot of charity stuff, just bring a lot of attention, but it seems like the players have sort of taken this opportunity as well to really make sure that their voice is heard. Obviously, we saw some really powerful scenes on the first day with a lot of the players taking knees. Just the picture you can't get out of your head of Julie Ertz and Casey Short sort of embracing in this moment of like sort of just sort of trying to share that moment and really making a hell of a statement across the board. What have you noticed from being there and how important it is for some of these players to really make their voice heard?
Yeah, that moment with Julie Ertz and Casey Short, it was incredible. It really was like so powerful. And I think that first day, because they were the second game of the first day, but that first day had so much emotion kind of buzzing around it, because not only were players anxious to get back on the field, but it was very important for them to stand for, their causes like Black Lives Matter and show what they care about in the communities they want to help support. And so I think there was all this energy around that too. So they took a knee for the anthem, and then they also did a moment of silence for 46 seconds for George Floyd. And it was just very, very powerful. You could tell, like, right at the beginning of the game, when emotions are already heightened, they were even more so. And then throughout this tournament, players had been donating their goal bonuses to organizations. And Sarah Gordon started her Pass It Along challenge, where she donated, I think it was $5 for every pass she completed in Sunday's game to an organization that gives free mental health services to low-income communities. And her teammates kind of snowballed on that. So it's really great to see not only these players back in action, because we know, like, that's where they want to be and they love being there, but also seeing them take advantage of that their platform is heightened and what they really care about, being able to support that.
Yeah. Look, I'm part of it too. I'm trying to support. This is a shirt from Gal Pal Sports, and obviously Meg Linehan, who's a friend of the show, and they made a shirt for her to support Black in Pink, which is a LGBT Black trans organization. So look at this. I mean, it's
a great shirt too.
If you don't get the reference, that's when Meg had the schedule but would refuse to give it to anyone.
She always holds on tight to that schedule.
How dare she?
It's just disrespectful, Meg.
You know, gladly. I'm just happy that we have a platform to shame her and do this. Okay?
It's about time people know the truth. Okay.
Yeah.
You've been right on the sideline. You've been getting a chance to really communicate with a lot of these players, especially after they've played the match and throughout it. But there's been a lot of standout stars, that people that are becoming stars during this competition. Who in particular would you say maybe one or two that have really stood out, have really started to really make a name for themselves?
And why is it definitely Shea Groom?
Yeah.
Shea Groom. How good does she look?
Oh my God.
She's so much fun to watch. And you know, I talked to her about, like, joining a new team and what that meant for her. Because you would think after, you know, you're seen in a certain light with a certain team. And she said she loved her time with her other teams at Reign. But going to Houston, she's like, being able to, like, hook up with Rachel Daly up top, like, it just gives her so many more options. And she's just incredible to watch, because she's she's very small in stature, and that header that she hit a couple of games ago, it's like, how did you do that? But she's so fun to watch. Portland's got a goalkeeper, Bella Bixby, that's really fun to watch. She had only a few days to prepare for the opening game. They found out Franch couldn't go, and they gave Bella Bixby the shot, and she kind of had to. She's been ready, but mentally prepare for in just a few days. Who else has been really good? I mean, Washington Spirit just has so many great young players. They've been Ashley Sanchez, Ashley Hatch, like, they've both been doing really well. I don't know. There's just so many exciting players. And that's what's really cool about this league, is that, yes, it has incredible athletes on the national teams and the international teams. But then when they get an opportunity to go through the depth and show who else they have, it's really fun to see who kind of emerges.
And as far as just some quality temes, what has look, I feel like this tournament is anybody but the Courage, right? That's what people are saying, because they're just so dominant. So who feels like maybe the second best team? You know, watching it on TV might not feel the same as being on the sideline. Who do you think is like the next standout?
You know, Washington's really been doing well. It just feels like they're right there, and they have so much talent. Like, their midfield's very talented. I mean, you have Rose Lavelle, and even their goalkeeper, Aubrey Bledsoe, has been doing really well. And even though they're the youngest team in the tournament, they've shown a real sense of resiliency. And also, I think when you're young, I've heard this from players and coaches in the past, that, like, when you have young players, they often play with this fearlessness, because they're just like, hey, I'm here to play. And it really works well. So I really like Washington. Houston's looked really fun on offense,
if they
too.
could just put it all together, Houston would be so dangerous. They are so fun to watch.
Right there.
The
they
conversion
are so
from
fun
Lewis
to watch.
to Grooms and Daly, it just is wild.
Yeah.
And what Daly can do, like, her relentlessness on the ball is just, I look at her, I'm like, where does that fire come from?
Yeah.
Like, she is relentless.
Who on the other team talk garbage to you? Like, she is like an Apache.
I was gonna say, what have been some of the surprises? Like, at least for me, looking at the table, right? So we're recording this on Monday the 13th, but obviously the quarterfinal they start Friday Friday and Saturday. So we don't know the exact seeding, but to see like Portland and even Houston to be so kind of just low on pretty much at the bottom of the table is quite the shock.
Yeah, for sure, especially with Portland, because I think they've played well. They've had halves and that they look so completely dominant, and it's just that thing of missing that final touch. And that's kind of what we're hearing from coaches is like, we're just missing that little final touch, that little something extra in the attacking third. And I think a lot of that just has to do with like, this is the first time these women are playing in months, and you still kind of have to work all of that out, and there's new players and all of that. But I think Portland is such a talented team, obviously. Yeah. You have Christine Sinclair and you have Megan Klingenberg and Lindsay Horan when she's in, and how can you not be talented? Yeah. So I think, it's interesting to see how the seeding has shaped up, but once these knockout rounds come, it's going to be a whole new game, a whole different level.
Everybody's warmed up, and they're going to be good to go.
Yeah.
So, and a reminder, the quarterfinals begin Friday and Saturday, so this weekend, so make sure to check those out. And then the final will end up being July 26th at, I believe, 12:30.
Which will be on CBS.
On CBS, on big CBS, It's really big deal. We're excited about it.
Yes, the first, the opening game had a ton of views. The ratings were incredible, so I expect the same, or maybe hopefully even better for the final. So, Marisa Pilla, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, and best of luck out there in Utah. All right, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
We'll be back.
Safe driving 200 feet, by the way.
I will.
We'll be back with Dom Dwyer of Orlando City right after this.
Baby, we're back. Cooligans Living Room FC. And Christian, people say, oh, why didn't you guys go to the bubble? We didn't have to. We're in there via camera, bruh. Okay. We sent the drone. Turns out we didn't have a strong enough battery on that bad boy. It died in North Carolina. But luckily we got the internet. We in there. And I'm so excited for this player.
Yeah, I'm very stoked because I'm like giddy. This is wild. I'm glad we were talking to a player inside the bubble, but specifically this player who we are not only fans of, but the man is always he's always in the news for good and bad reasons. He doesn't care.
He's all over the map. He's just trying to get on them headlines, bro.
His wife roasting him on the internet. Everything, bro. It's just one of the most entertaining MLS players that we have. So please introduce our guest, Alexis.
I mean, you should be excited, or nearly as excited as we are. Our first player from inside the bubble, all right, has played with the men's national team, came all the way from West Sussex, England, from the South, as they like to pronounce it. The starting forward for your Orlando City, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Mr. Sidney, no, I'm joking. Dwyer, everybody.
My guys, thank you for having me.
Was good.
Thank you so much for joining us, man. Yeah, in the introduction, we're huge fans. We do have to ask, you are the first player that we're speaking to from inside the bubble. So the news that we got, there's that Twitter account that is like, who knows? I don't know who that Twitter account is that is leaking all this information about what's going on inside the bubble. I don't know if we're talking to the leak. Who knows?
I ain't got time for that. That's how you're gonna start it.
No, but how is it in there? How is it in there? How are you feeling in general?
Honestly, being one of the first teams to arrive here, it's honestly not terrible. You're going to see highlights on the internet of the bad things, and some are quite entertaining. But honestly, it's not terrible. The league is working hard as we go to improve things that players aren't happy about. There's a lot of open conversations, and they're really asking us what else we need and what else we want. So I think it's not ideal, especially for players with families. You want to be with them, and you can't really have any freedom to go anywhere or do anything. It's never going to be perfect, but it's okay. The meals are getting better. There's only a couple meals. I think when you first arrive and you have to stay into your room, some of them that get delivered to the door, fruit is maybe the best option. But, it's honestly, it's really good. And the staff are working hard. And, I can't say it's a bad situation for what it is. We get to play football, and that's what we love to do.
Dude, if I went somewhere and I was stuck there for a couple of weeks and the best option was fruit, day one I'd be on camera crying, going, "I want to go home." Immediately, I look like a kid in day camp for the first time.
What is this? What is this nutritional prison they got me?
Why is this sandwich yellow and shaped this way? They're like, that's a banana, dude. This hot dog is terrible.
Oh, geez.
So I did at least want to ask. We should get the serious stuff out of the way, especially with the news about the teams that couldn't even play in the tournament. All right, FC Dallas and Nashville. What was sort of the feeling like when that news sort of came out? Even with Toronto and DC having their game postponed.
Luckily, being false positive
and stuff like that. So how does that sort of feel for the players? Kind of like about when the next game is going to be and if anything will happen with the tournament in itself.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult, because sometimes it's concerning. You wonder if the tournament will go ahead, and really we're all here. We've worked hard. We just want to play games. So that's why we're here, and we're all gutted for Dallas and for Nashville. And it's probably something which they decided was for the best. And you look at the bigger picture, and it probably was for the best. And it shows you how quickly those things can happen. One guy can catch it from somewhere, or not really taking the proper precautions, and that happens, and then it can cost the whole team. So even the testers, they're here every day. They're out 12 hours a day sitting in the hotel. I'm sure they're quarantined in here as well. So really, it's credit to them for helping us getting this tournament underway and being able to do it. Our staffers were strict with us, for probably a good month or so before the tournament. We didn't really do too much other than training and then going straight home. And, it's really been a difficult time. And I had some interesting challenges, obviously, because my wife plays as well on the women's side. I'm sure you've heard of her.
Yeah, yeah.
Familiar, I think. We had to Google it, but we're familiar.
You guys are familiar, yeah. And so each time there would be a scare with her team, I would then be quarantined away. So actually, for the 2 weeks leading up to the tournament, before we came into quarantine here, I spent 3 days in a hotel while they had a false positive. Then I was allowed to go home again. And then the week leading up to it, once they had an actual positive, I had to then distance myself from my kids and my family a week earlier. So I've been in quarantine now for about a month, going from there. I mean, I couldn't even go home and pack a bag. I was driving back from practice and I get a phone call and it's like, hey, someone's been exposed for Sydney's team. You got 20 minutes, pack up your bag. She's on her way home. You need to get out before she's home. So
wow.
I couldn't say bye to the kids. I couldn't say bye to her. I just had to jump in the hotel, stay there and wait until we got the go ahead to come in the Disney hotel. And then, I've been here.
Yeah, dude. That's just wildly, frustrating. Like a lot of times, people can kind of oversimplify what's going on, but hearing those details, makes it a lot more real and
humanizes it.
Yeah, and frankly, as fans of the Dwyer family, for us to not be able to get the social media Instagram photos that you guys normally deliver, it's extra devastating.
I know that you're wondering where on the priority list we as fans are. It should be near the top because we didn't get what we should get based on your social media.
She's the boss, she's the mastermind of everything. So I think she's quite mad at me. She'll normally send me things. You need to do this. You need to do this. But no, she's very good and skilled. So I credit her for that.
How is she handling not sort of being able to play in this tournament? Is she sort of, it's been a little bit now. Is she a bit more comfortable with it now? But I'm sure she was gutted at first.
Yeah, she was gutted, because she's barely played in like 2 years. She came back from having Cassius and she got a little bit of a taste of it. And then the season ended. And then she had Rue as well. So that was another season-ending injury. And then she's worked, to be fair to her, she has worked so hard. And I had to push her slightly at the beginning. And then it's all her. It's all her drive and what she wants to do. So she worked hard, and she was, of course, devastated for a couple of weeks, and I'm sure she still hurts now. And it's probably difficult now that I'm gone too, and I'm playing, and she's not able to play. So I feel for her, but to be fair, she's taking it in her stride. I FaceTimed her this morning, and she was in the garage working out with the neighbor, and she's just grafting away still. She's driven. So she wants it, and you'll see her back on the field, no doubt.
With that, she's one of the most inspiring athletes because those photos of her going viral of being pregnant and training, and she's inspiring to a lot of people.
She's a beast, mate. She's a beast.
Yeah, for sure. She's exercising for 2. I'm not even exercising for 1.
When are you due, by the way?
I just this morning I gave birth to something. I'll tell you that.
All right, we'll be back with more Dumb Dwyer after this. Welcome back to the Cooligans, Living Room FC. We are here with Dom Dwyer of Orlando City. And Dom, I think we should kind of get this out the way. And obviously, the MLS is Back tournament opened with Orlando City against Inter Miami. And you had quite a game. All right, you were look. It was definitely chippy. Obviously, neither team wanted to lose, and Orlando City ended up winning. But there was a controversial moment, obviously, with an injury that happened to Reyes of Inter Miami. So we should at least talk about it a little bit because it seemed very serious at the time.
Honestly, it was very bittersweet. Obviously it was great for the team, to get a win and to get a result. I think it was the start of a long rivalry with this team and a real rivalry. It's a local team in Florida. But it was disappointing. It was a tremendous battle. It was a great fight, and then to see a player get injured and from your hands as well is never a good feeling, and it definitely threw my head off for the rest of the game. I play physically. I'm a competitive player always. My mentality is to win the game, never to hurt players or to cause any damage. Of course, my last game was September 29th of last year, so that was probably 283 days of frustration and wanting to prove to a new coach, who I am and show him as a player. I'm a competitor and I want to win, and constantly battling for balls. Those things happen in football, and it was a physical game, and he's a tremendous player, and we were having a great battle up until that moment, and it was horrible to see, honestly. And my teammates were coming up to me. They saw I wasn't too happy with it, and they said, focus on the game, carry on. And, I was subbed off the pitch, and, I went straight to their coach just to let him know that, that's not who I am.
Yeah.
I reached out to him via social media. We spoke. He said he saw the video. He saw it wasn't intentional. We had some bigger collisions, I think, in the first half that were bigger than that one. But, I actually, in that play, I didn't feel anything. Honestly, I thought he was just trying to get me booked, So when we finished the play, I came back over to him, and he was struggling with his breathing, and it was horrible to see. And those were a long 6 minutes. So I was upset with the ambulance crew not getting on faster. I think they just didn't want to cause more panic. It was not a nice situation, to be honest, but he's well and he's okay. He's back in the bubble, he's back in the tournament, and that's what you want to see. Things happen in football and scary moments, and luckily there was no issue with him, and he was good.
Yeah, just visually and audio-wise, because there's all these mics shoved in the field, and you could really hear him gasping for air. So it seemed like a really big moment at the time, but it's what a wonderful thing that he's much better.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that, especially that he's doing better. It is interesting, and we can talk a little bit even about maybe let's talk about your either your style of play or just like the being a forward in Major League Soccer, right? It's a difficult task, right? Because a lot of the center backs are big ass dudes that you have to you have to kind of hold your own.
Most of them have got 20, 30 pounds on me. So we're battling away constantly. And I remember back in 2014, there was a stat, I was the most fouled player in the league. So I kind of just.
Is there an award for that? You get a trophy or what?
I didn't get too much for it, honestly. So just a few bruises.
So I decided. Just real quick before you continue, is that part of your technique though? Is that are you trying to draw those fouls?
It depends, right? Because as a striker, if the play is going on in the box, your team is defending. You need to put yourself in a good position to be in front of the center back to receive the ball, hold it up, lay it off for your team, and allow the attack to start. So normally with a bigger guy, it's kind of difficult, right? They're literally sitting on your back. So you can either take a touch and then lay it off, or you try and lay it off in one touch. But once you take that second touch, you're getting smacked like a little car crash. So that would often happen, a little bit of a sore neck the next day. And And, I just decided, to give it back a little. And, I'd train against our defenders and they would be like, I hate when you do that. I hate when you pressure me. It makes me uncomfortable on the ball. It makes you feel under pressure. So I try to add that to my game. And, as a striker, unfortunately, we're not the best tacklers. So sometimes you're going for the ball and you're a little bit late. And in England, we call that a striker's tackle. So, you normally get 1 or 2 a game before you get booked. And just to put pressure on defenders. And, normally that makes them want to come and hit you harder. So once you give them a little hit, next time they're coming to hit you hard, you're going to go down, free kick, and your team's up the field. So it's part of the game. And it's, as a youngster, I was coached that way. You back your body into the player. Normally it's an arm across the chest, and you're just pushing away. So sometimes, I've got red cards for that. I've hit them in the face. A lot of the time you're watching the ball's flight. So you're just leaning back. And once you feel the contact of the player, that's kind of your mark to know that that's where they are. And, collisions happen, and that's just part of the game.
Yeah, it's like it is a the strategy behind it. Because as fans, we're just like, "Yo, Dom, put in the back of the net. What are you doing?" Like, and this is
hey, trust me, I don't like that part either. Yeah. I like being in the box, scoring goals, but that's the bit that's added an extra flair to my game. So if that's what the boss wants, and if that's what it takes to win, I'm in.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. I'd be grabbing my knee from the first whistle. I'd be like, you saw what these dudes is doing?
I don't even know this is fair. We're like in different weight classes. It'd be a different league for us.
Straight up.
You kind of look like a bear like cub trying to get your back scratched against a big tree. Some of these dudes is monsters.
All right.
I remember trying to fight with Waston once, and he must be about 100 pounds heavier than me. And I was squaring up to him. He's just looking down at me, just laughing.
Like when we made eye contact with Roman Torres, and I looked at Christian like, why would anyone even try it with him? Why?
Yeah.
He's a big man.
It's like the football fight, right? It's like, okay, please hit me. You get a red card, and then I'm going to ice my face later.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, we'll be back with more Dom Dwyer right after this.
Baby, we're back on the Cooligans Living Room FC here with Dom Dwyer of Orlando City Soccer Club. Dom, we have a group called Gully Squad. That's our supporters. Okay, right. They can do tifos and all that. They tell us we can't see it because we don't play soccer, but we're hearing right. And we let them ask some questions to some of the guests that come in. And we got a bunch of questions for you. One in particular is from Dimitri, who is I believe he's an Olympiacos fan. So that's where this question comes from.
Ooh.
Yeah. So this is from Dimitri. He says, ask him if he ever thinks about what could have been regarding the failed transfer to Olympiacos in 2016, i.e. playing in Europe for more money, playing in Champions League, and what that could have done for your career. And the reason that we ask that is there's a lot of times that players will come on and will have these moments in their careers where something could have happened. And are you able to think about that moment? Are you able to put it in perspective? Where do you feel about that now where maybe you probably didn't feel that way in 2016 after it didn't happen?
Yeah, I don't like to say I ever regret anything in my life. I always like to kind of live in the present and live forwards. But no, that was a time where it was a really difficult decision. It was an amazing opportunity. And if that came across now, it might be a different situation. But, it just wasn't the right time for me and my family. And it turned out to be a good decision. I mean, the coach that was trying to sign me was fired a week later or 2 weeks later. So hopefully it wasn't because he couldn't sign a striker. But it was an interesting time, and those opportunities come and go in football, and I sometimes wonder what it would have been like. And I think the economy in Greece is interesting, and I just wasn't in the position with my family to risk it at that moment. I was about to have a child, and family just took priority for me at that point.
That's totally fair, yeah. And speaking of coaches, your new head coach, Oscar Pareja, who we interviewed while he was at FC Dallas, and his nickname is Papi, right? And we're both Latino. We're like, all right, he is our dad now, right?
I grew up without a father. Christian's got a bad one. We were both like, could you be our dad? 5 minutes into a conversation with this man.
I mean, he is a father to every single player here, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he very much has that very paternal kind of feeling. What's been the relationship with your new coach so far?
I mean, it's amazing. I've had 3 coaches since I've been at this club in 3 years, and I had some interesting years here, and I can't say they were the most joyful times. And he's definitely like a breath of fresh air. I think you're going to see success for this club if you haven't already, and a lot of it is due to him. He's managed to keep this group together, especially during these crazy times in the world now. I already respected him as a coach from the days where we would do battle when I was in Kansas and he was in Dallas. Now I actually get to really experience him. Everybody told me when they heard the news he was going to be our coach that I would love him and that he would be a really good guy for me. And I definitely can say that. He's bringing a strong side out of my game, and he's brought a lot more understanding to my game. And he definitely helps me out in life off the pitch as well. Like you said, as a father figure, and I think he's that for many, many players. So I think it's tough, coaching, but to have that honesty that he has as a player, you can't really ask for more. You know exactly what you're getting. You know exactly what he wants. He'll let you know if you're not doing it and if you are doing it. I just feel grateful that I'm able to play for him at this time, and especially at this point in my career where it's going to be a vital few years. It's exciting time, and he's someone who's, I look in his eyes and I see his fire and his passion and his will to win, and he has that mentality, and I think we match up well on that.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Also, gorgeous eyes on that man. I don't know if you get lost in them. Yeah.
If there was a Latino 007, he might get a phone call, at least an audition.
That's why you call him Papi?
Yeah. No comment. He did also bring Tesho Akindele, who played for him at Dallas, right? Kind of knows him a little bit. Also a striker, right? Also a forward. Have you thought about maybe trying to trick him to get out the bubble so he has to quarantine for 2 weeks so you guarantee to start? I think your girl's out there, Tesho. Oh, 2 weeks. Your boy's back.
Hey, Tesho's my boy. Tesho's a class player. I think he's very underrated in this league. He always gives you what you need. And, to me, I enjoy playing with him. I think he's a very unselfish player, and he's a hard worker, and he'll give 100% effort all the time. He actually just signed a new contract, so I want to give him a little shout out for that.
To him, and
congratulate him. It's very thoroughly deserved. He's a great guy on and off the pitch, and a class player, and I think he's got a bright future here.
Wipe down that bag with some Lysol wipes, but the homie got it. Good for him.
There you go.
You can never be too careful.
Long overdue.
So I have a question I do want to ask, and we'll get it. We'll get the answer after the break. But we had Yuri Rosell on the show, and we did ask about the rivalry with Atlanta United and some of the passion and struggles there. So I want to get your answer about that right after this. Welcome back to the Cooligans. We're here with Dom Dwyer of Orlando City, and yes, we have to talk about the villain of Orlando City, which is Atlanta United.
Previous rival, but also probably not going to go away anytime soon.
I want to just reference this question because we are comedians, and we do roast each other. We roast players. We have a lot of fun with it. We had a question from one of our members of Gully Squad that was.
Is this Jacob Denton's question?
Jacob Denton, which wildly rude. It's disrespectful, but I'm prefacing it so you know. But he asked the question: did Dom get Joseph Martinez anything for Father's Day? Okay, so we're just saying it because people come here. They bring in the heat, and there's a lot of roasting and banter between Orlando and Atlanta. So what is?
I know those guys are very busy on social media. Actually, I'll give them that.
You know how disrespectful busy sounds in an English accent? Oh,
they're very busy. They're literally keyboard warriors. I love it though. Now, what I will say is, for me, it was that first game I played in against Atlanta. They're new to the league, so I knew they spent a bunch of money, but I didn't know too much, honestly. And we had that battle where me and Joseph were going back and forth, scoring goals, and we had them, and they scored again last minute. I think it finished 3-3, 2 goals and an assist that game, but I can't really remember.
Who knows?
And then I stood on their advertising boards in front of 70,000, so they might remember that. But it was not. It's hard to call it a rivalry, to be honest, because we've never beat them. So it's like our local team, but they're kind of forgotten about now. We're playing catch up. They can go have their own little rivalry now, but we've got Miami now. We'll battle that one out, and then hopefully in the playoffs or in the finals, who knows? We'll see Atlanta at a different point, and we can reignite that. I want to. Joseph, I got a lot of respect for him. He's an amazing player, and I love what he did in the league as well. And I wish him. We have decent contact. We talk a fair bit, and I wish him well on his recovery. I know he's coming back fast, and he'll be back scoring goals in no time. So a lot of respect for him.
Yeah.
And to the Atlanta United fans, I say just keep it coming. I love that stuff, man.
Look for us.
You know what you're asking for, right? That's $70K.
But
just so they know, it ain't over till it's over.
Yeah, dude. It is. It feels a little bit like even now with Instagram stories and more players being more vocal, there is this element of like a wrestling match, where the wrestlers do promos and kind of hype up every match. So it's like we always look forward to this. You know what? When Atlanta put that billboard in Orlando and things like that. Like I'm like, all right, let's go. This is the entertainment factor.
MLS is lit.
Hey,
yeah.
If I was smashing, if we were smashing them, I'd be doing the same thing. So I can't wait.
Could you see something like that, like where MLS clubs are kind of like trolling each other on Instagram and on Twitter and putting up billboards? Could you ever see this happening in England?
No chance, because they're much more professional. It's a bit weird when the actual club's social pages do that. The players can talk a bit of nonsense here and there. You might get fined and stuff. But to me, it's still a little strange when the actual club's pages do it. But I understand in the culture here in America and how the MLS works. So it kind of makes sense, but normally we let the fans do that stuff.
Yeah, I love it.
The league needs attention. We got to do whatever we got to do.
Hey. Normally it's just the media guy for this team's talking to the media guy for that team.
Yeah. No, who cares if trolling is what gets us to beat the NBA, bro? Then let's hire some comedians.
We call it banter.
Yeah, exactly, for the bands. I got a great question here. This is another one from Gully Squad, and this is from Ebony Christmas. Have you been in contact with Berhalter at all? Any thoughts or any plans or goals to try to get back in the U.S. men's national team mix?
I'm 29 now. I've had a couple injuries which have kept me out from playing. I haven't been lighting up the goal scoring charts, and until I do that, it's really up to me. I can keep calling him as much as I want, but that's not really going to do it. It's it's me doing it on the field. So I'm excited for this year. We got a strong squad, and I'm feeling great. I feel like I'm coming into my prime. So we'll see. To be honest, we had a conversation when he first got the job. I want to say 2 years ago or something. Yeah. We haven't spoke since. I've seen him at the games. He's here at the tournament. So of course it's something in my aspirations. It's something I want to do. Since I came over this country 10, 11 years ago now, I've received a lot, and I've, obviously being an MLS player, I want to help grow the game. I want to help grow the sport in this country. And that's one of my desires. And if I can help the country on the national stage, of course, that's something I want to do. I gave up my dream of playing for England to play for this country. And, that's something that I want to continue doing. I'm not ready to hang them up there yet.
Yeah, of course.
So unless they got no interest in having me anymore, that's definitely in my aspirations.
Yeah. Is it? Yeah. What is it? Isn't it a little odd to see Berhalter behind the goal, just watching everything? It's a little weird watching him on the broadcast, just in the mask and just like.
Dad status.
Usually
right?
they stay in the stands. Usually the national team coach stays in the stands and watching the game, but he's just like right behind, like Matt Turner watching him.
No, I respect it. I mean, his son's in there, I think, playing games as well. And, he wants to see at eye level. He wants to see what the players have. So it's good. It's good for the players. Maybe it adds a bit of pressure, but in a good way.
Yeah.
He wants to see it. I'm sure he wants to get to know people. So I like it. I got time for it.
It's a good time to shine too, right? Especially in front of the guy who's running the whole thing. We got more with Dom when we get back after this.
Welcome back to the Cooligans Living Room FC with Dom Dwyer. And Dom, we should ask about the initial game. The first game for the MLS is Back tournament was incredibly powerful, showing support for the Black Lives Matter movement. What was your experience like with that?
It was incredible, honestly. Walking out the tunnel, with the starting 11 and just seeing, over 100, black players from the MLS it was strong. It was powerful, man. I got goosebumps the whole time walking out. And it was just a strong sign of unity. And, you've seen all these successful people just coming together with one mind and one focus and, something that's bigger than all of ourselves.
Okay. It was absolutely incredible. Yeah. And it made people uncomfortable, which is what it was supposed to do. So I applaud you.
It's what it's about, right? We don't want to have those conversations. It's a difficult time, but it's something that needs to happen and it needs to be changed.
Yeah. That's the only way change is going to happen, is to have those conversations. And what I'm glad about is that as far as you guys have created, especially in MLS, just created this sea of change, because people that don't normally talk about MLS and some networks that don't normally talk about MLS were talking about MLS and talking about the black players in MLS making a change, which hopefully that inspires that across all different sports. That was wonderful to see.
Very much so. So again, Dom Dwyer, thank you so much for joining us, man. This has been awesome. And we have to get you back on here, and because there's so much we could talk about.
Yeah,
absolutely. We can have a good time.
We'll get the whole family in here.
So before we sign off, is there anything you want to let people know about or plug or anything?
Absolutely. So me and a couple of friends have been getting together. CJ Sapong, shout out to him. There's something we are creating. It's called The Social Sports. You're going to see it out there soon. It's basically our own media platform. We want to help athletes be able to create their brands, help them with their brands, and create their own positive narrative. So, just really put them in a driver's seat and be able to show them that, they're able to do what they want to do and not be controlled by clubs and other things. So
awesome.
Any athletes around or any pro players who are watching now, reach out to me or CJ. We'll get it going. So we got a lot of exciting things to come.
Let us know how we can help with that. That would be dope.
Yeah. No, that'd be great. Just
man. Of course, if you start training, we can get you some endorsements and we can sort you out.
Oh, what a hill to climb!
Imagine they get you some deal though, Alexis. I'd be like, yo, this thing works.
Yeah, probably for a stretcher company or an IV company.
Dom, thank you so much again for joining us. Everybody, make sure you follow Dom Dwyer on Twitter, on Instagram. Yes, the whole Dwyer family. Sydney LaRue is also incredibly awesome on social media. Absolutely. So make sure you follow them. Follow at Fubo Sports on social media as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you'd like to see full episodes of our program. Follow at Soccer Cooligans wherever. Also on Twitch. Follow us on Twitch because we've been doing some fun stuff there.
We're literally everywhere.
We're literally everywhere.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. So let's end the show the way we normally do. So for Dom Dwyer, my name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis Guerreros.
And together, what are we?
The Cooligans! Yo, thank you so much for watching that content right now. In fact, if you subscribe, you can watch all the other content we have right now that we're doing from our living room here on Living Room FC version of the Cooligans.
Well, what a great opportunity to subscribe and watch more videos of us, the Cooligans, on Fubo Sports.
That's right. Hit the subscribe button.